Wigan is one of the 10 local authorities within Greater Manchester and has a population of 324,000. Some major names in food production create employment in the town, alongside a flourishing economy of micro-enterprises.
I came up with the theme of Home is Where the Heart Is, Housing and Health for this year's annual movie by looking back first at the brilliant history of public health and the great achievements of our Victorian pioneers, like the Fab Four from Liverpool, William Henry Duncan, Kitty Wilkinson, Thomas Fresh and James Newlands, and of course the colleagues in London like John Simone, Joseph Bazalgette and John Snow. Housing has always been integral to public health, and really for me it's about bringing that Victorian learning and lessons into the 21st century. So the fantastic work, for example, of Victorian philanthropists at Saltire, at New Lanark, and of course in Port Sunlight, where it was absolutely clear that affecting people's home environment and the environment with which they surround themselves actually does improve health. For example, in Port Sunlight, the health of children was measured and compared to their counterparts still living in the city centre of Liverpool, which did not have the benefits of Port Sunlight. Funnily enough, those children's health was improved at the same rate as children from much wealthier households. So in other words, it was very much about exposing people to a great environment, to cultural offer, to decent homes. That's what Lord Leverhulme managed to achieve along with other great Victorian pioneers. Healthy homes actually does deliver better health outcomes. And those lessons are just as important today as they were in the middle of the 19th century.
We have to put health at the heart of all communities, build homes that support good health. I think that means tackling the private rented sector, where we have too many homes that aren't safe or fit for human habitation, and we need to see standards raised there. But also it means having planning policies that support good health, that connect people with cycling and high quality walking provision, that are based around good sports and leisure facilities. Wigan has always led the way on that. You know, I'm a proud champion of the Leigh Sports Village, a fantastic facility at the heart of our community. And it's about kind of replicating that idea on a smaller scale, perhaps, in communities everywhere. Give people green spaces to enjoy so they can get out and about, physically active. That is, in the end, the best health policy we can come up with.
I want to make sure the quality of homes meet the needs of the population, and whether that be single people, whether that be families, whether that be elderly people, it's important that we get that complete mix of options for people in terms of where they want to live and how they want to live.
I think the life course approach that we've adopted as part of the Deal for Health and Wellness in Wigan is integral to Housing for Health. It's really following on from the recommendations of Michael Marmot's seminal report in 2010, Fairer Society, Healthy Lives, where housing and the physical environment were absolutely integral for young children getting a great start in life, for those of us of working age actually having some fun, some enjoyment to improve our mental health, but also support our own families as we and they grow, and for our older communities. And this, I think, has been really exemplified by our work on dementia-friendly communities here in the borough, to actually make sure that as you get older, you have the opportunity to have a safe, independent and happy life.
So we have 5 Startwell family centres in Wigan Borough now that have lots of different support sessions and advice and guidance to help our families. And traditionally those Startwell family centres do lots of work with our most deprived families across the borough, which will also be currently claiming benefits and will be affected by universal credit. So the types of things that we have on offer, drop-ins with Citizens Advice Bureau, about actually, help to manage their money and support them with their claims, personal budgeting, cooking lessons, that type of thing. And we need to be really creative about how we can do more of that in the future.
I've been fostering for 15 years now. I tend to like to see the child through from the placement, so what may have come as an emergency placement in the earlier days. One came at 5-year-old and she's still with me now at 19. So what was an emergency placement that should have been a few days is sort of over 14 years down the line, you know, so yeah. And she's going to university, so it just shows, you know, given the stability, that the outcomes for the children are better. I think what's come into hand now is the corporate parenting, where everybody is involved with the children in care, and all the professionals are working together with the foster carers, so it gives better outcomes for the children. As a foster carer, as well as looking after the child, we tend to work in partnership with the parents. We give the parents support where needed on a professional level, because at the end of the day, it's all about, we want the children to go back home, you know, to the parents. We want the parents to have sorted their lives out so that this can happen.
The acclaimed Wigan deal empowers local residents by creating confidence and saving costs in communities. Training is also embedded throughout the council workforce, including the award-winning Deal for Your Street.
In Wigan, we've invested now 10 million in communities over the last 6-7 years. It's been really successful. That's been brought in by external funding as well as the 10 million, so we've got more money back than we've actually put out there. It's really developed in communities. On a weekly basis, I go around to community groups and visit lots of people and chat to them just on a one-to-one basis or within groups. And the vibe that they give me is that they enjoy living in the borough, they enjoy going to the groups, and they enjoy being part of a partnership, a true partnership with the council and communities, and they feel less reliant on NHS services and public health. But when they need it, it's there for them.
The Deal for Your Street, it's bringing together two elements of the work that we do. In the first instance, it's making strong, safe, clean and green communities. And on the other hand, it's about the Eyes and Ears initiative, which is staff recognising where there are people on street in their communities that might actually need some more support from us. So it's about bringing those two together and training staff in how to actually work in that way to get benefits for everyone.
The focus in Deal for Your Street is the Eyes and Ears. All our frontline staff have got eyes and ears. We're saying use them in relation to what your core function is. And if you see something, tell us about it. If you overhear something that's not quite right, let us know and then it can be considered.
No Deal Street, whilst we know there are no streets that bad really, and anyway, it has a lot of different possible issues that you could spot whilst you're out and about doing your day-to-day job. So there could be things like rubbish and litter, damaged street signs, things like needles or dog fouling, but there's also more serious issues as well that could be things like domestic violence or spotting people living with dementia or vulnerable people being abused and things like that. So it's just trying to highlight that not everything is as it seems. And we do that through a street with different houses on it and different characters in each house. And there's a number of different things that could be going on in those houses. I mean, some of it's like food poverty and fuel poverty and things. And it's quite subtle, but it just shows you don't always just take everything at face value.
We have hundreds of staff on the front line, and what they've said back to us as part of the training is they've been waiting for this ability to be able to feed back in and having the tools to do it. Because they do see things and they didn't know whether they were empowered enough to be able to feed back or have the actual resource to do it.
Things are getting a lot more digital and web-based now for people to report issues to us. For example, the Reporter app, which is something we plug a lot with Deal for Your Street. You can go along now with your smartphone, take a picture of a pothole and report it to us through the Reporter app. It's a much quicker process. We can deal with that and you can get the information fed back to you, or there's web forms and things like that, whereas previously people had to either ring in or write letters and emails, and it's a much quicker, smoother process for people now and so much easier.
We used an example where one of our colleagues went out to look at a dangerous wall, and he could have done the fix on the wall and come away, but he noticed that the adjacent property, it was falling into disrepair. So he went and knocked on the door and he spoke to the gentleman and he found he had cataracts. He'd received a number of letters from the council and not been able to read. So he went back, our officer, reported in. A number of other sections then went out to support, cutting the grass at his property, doing some fixes for him, but more importantly, getting him to be seen by the professionals in the National Health Service to fix the problem that was preventing him to engage with the council and the community. He's now an active member of that community.
One of our bin crews was out doing their daily rounds, and then they came across a lady that was quite confused and appeared to be lost on the street when they were out. And it became apparent that this lady was living with dementia or some other kind of condition like that. So what they did was they tried to find out where she lived. She'd actually locked herself out of the house and there was nobody that could let her in, but a neighbour had a number for a friend or family member. So the crews waited with her until the family could actually come and let her in and help the lady. And the family were actually really grateful for what they did. So it was a great example of what we want people to do.
Today we're having a skip day of a recycle, reuse day for the community. It's all part of the deal, the council's deal, making people aware, making them be responsible and be positive. As far as we're concerned, the council, you know, we need to work with the community anyway. By doing something like this, we're showing them we do work with them. And we want the community to work with us. And in my job role as an estates officer, I need the community. I can't do the job without the community. I need their information, I need their help. And by doing something like this, this establishes that rapport with them.
Standish Voice is a neighbourhood forum, and we formed about 3 years ago with the purpose of developing a neighbourhood plan for Standish. It came about because of the amount of house building that was being created. There's going to be about 1,700 houses being built in Standish, and we wanted to make sure that the local community benefited. We were asked by the council if there's anything they knew of that we could do as a quick win for the community. And one of the things that has been, that we identified was improvements to the line. The line is locally a mineral line which was used many, many years ago to transfer coal along down into the coal wash near Gidlow. And it became very disused. It was very muddy, overgrown, but it was because of the houses that are being built here, it was a really good connection up into the centre of Standish. Section 106 monies are monies that are provided by developers to Wigan Council for improvements to the infrastructure because of the developments that are being provided and all the new housing that are being provided. And it's Section 106 money that's helped to fund the development of the line.
Ground Waste delivery is very much about looking at the wider determinants of health. So, you know, it's about those individuals being part of a team, building their confidence, maybe individuals being outdoors, feeling like they're part of the community. So our Prince's Trust programmes are specifically for 16 to 25-year-olds. Our Roots to Wellbeing programme is for any adult who's unemployed. The fact that we've got young people in their early 20s on the same programme as someone who's in the 60s actually works really well. It means that they can demonstrate leadership skills in different ways. That intergenerational aspect is important, and what you find is some of the younger members of the team sometimes demonstrate their leadership skills when you wouldn't expect it.
By creating the link through to the centre of Standish, we hope to encourage more people to walk into the centre of Standish to do the shopping. It creates a better link in for the children going to school, and it's got the health benefits of reducing air pollution by encouraging more people to walk and cycle, and the health benefits that go along with that as well.
As part of the Heart of Wigan programme, school children are encouraged to create designs for sculptures located around the borough's parks. Emily was one of the winners in 2018.
So there's people camping and people walking the dogs and stuff, and there's trees to represent the outdoors, and there's like flowers because it's outdoors, and the heartbeat because it moves faster when you get outdoors and you get more active.
When young people are out there doing projects in the community, it changes the perception of individuals in the community about young people. That creates an element of people feeling safer around young people. You know, one of our aims is that, you know, older and younger people can mix together in society. That's what a safer society is. So when they're going out doing those community projects and they're making spaces cleaner and tidy and looking better, then it has a massive impact on the wider community.
I feel good because my heart's here and it's going to be here for years.
So we managed to get some funds from Sport England. to integrate a part-time officer who's already seen the team yesterday did a 12-mile bike ride. So these are people who are isolated, not doing any sort of physical activity. And here they are in a team going out on a 12-mile bike ride, and that changes people's perspective on life. It makes people, see places they've not been to, but actually, feel tired in the morning and feel like they've been doing something, which I think is really important to people's, health and fitness. And the physical health knocks onto the mental health. There's no doubt about it. The two things are intrinsically linked together.
I mean, obviously, in terms of Wigan, we have public health programmes that we can do locally, but there are some things that are much better done on a bigger footprint. And one example is Communities in Charge of Alcohol, which is a Greater Manchester project, which means that we adopt a similar approach and actually using some of the things that Wigan have done about engaging with communities and developing communities, that Communities in Charge of Alcohol is actually a way of dealing with high problems of high levels of alcohol consumption that can be dealt with and worked with effectively by energising and motivating communities locally.
A really good training programme to help you understand the effects of alcohol, the physical effects, the mental effects, and how it impacts on society, how it impacts on the individual, and it just feels like a really good comprehensive training package to give you the tools to then be able to go and chat to other people about alcohol and their drinking levels.
And I was going through a very difficult time, and I turned to drink myself and didn't realise how much I was drinking until someone called me a functioning alcoholic. And I think being labelled, it kind of threw me, and I was like, wow, really, I need to do something. And so when John got in touch, it was just at that right time. I was just at that crossroads. I could go one way or the other. And I've chose the right road.
I want it to be embedded in the community. I want Seeker to be something that's very commonplace in the community, that people know who alcohol health champions are. They know where they can turn to get some support and some guidance. And there are activities going on in all the different centres around the estate that people know about and they've got an awareness about. I want it to be a really easily accessible service for people, and a service that isn't a daunting service, or isn't a service that people go to when they're broken, when they've hit rock bottom, but more when people are more thinking, oh, I wouldn't mind making some changes. I recognise that my alcohol use might just be getting a little bit out of hand, and I'd like to make some changes before before it becomes problematic.
Shared Lives is a service for people who require support due to age, disability, illness, or purely because they're socially isolated. The champion can do various different things, so they could provide what we call a level 1 support, so that's a day session within the borough, within the community, which is a joint interest between the customer and the champion, or the champion can open up their home and provide what we call a full-time placement, so somebody actually shares their home.
I've noticed it's had a really big impact on them because they were so lonely and depressed, and to be able to come out and meet other people, I can see it on the faces how happy they are, and other people have said they can see a difference it's made in their lives, and that's what Shared Lives is about. It's just about sharing your life with other people.
It's more of a friendship, so they're meeting somebody and that person sees beyond that disability or that illness that they might have. They're actually coming together because they want to come together, because they have a shared interest, they have something that they like, or just because they get on well together. And I think it's more special having that kind of relationship rather than paid support to take you wherever you want to go.
There's a particular lady who I take out, and she was very anxious about coming out on her own. She now uses the bus service by herself. She's out and about now, much more now than she used to be, and her anxieties have lessened now. So I've seen a big change in her, which is really wonderful. It's making a big difference.
I made a pledge to make Wigan an autism-friendly borough. So part of my role is to ensure that real people who are autistic, their family and friends, are involved in that work and actually drive that work. So part of my role is to break down any barriers that stop that.
I got diagnosed with autism at the age of 46 in January 2017, and I want to change the way the world sees autism and people that are autistic. So I turned that diagnosis into a positive.
Something which we launched and created a couple of years ago now was the Autism Friends Sessions, which is a 1 hour awareness session, and we found that that in itself is changing people's perceptions of autism in Wigan and even wider than Wigan, which is really pleasing. And again, coming back to my role is to ensure that it's people with autism who are involved in that at every stage. So not only have they been involved in putting the Autism Friends together, they're also involved in delivering those sessions, and the feedback from the people who've been involved in those sessions is that the sessions are a lot more powerful because of that and a lot more insightful.
And I spent 46 years being treated as someone without autism, because it took the doctors 46 years to find out that I was autistic. And a lot of people's eyes are quite, oh, you've got autism, you don't look autistic. So that's good for me to present the session, because we don't all look the same, we don't all do the same. It's just like someone without autism, everyone's different completely.
Autism is a positive, can impact positively on people's lives. Obviously, some people do have some difficulties, but with sometimes a few adjustments that businesses, communities, services can have can make a massive difference to people's lives. And we found in Wigan Council that people with autism actually add a lot of value to our work, and that's been really pleasing for us. We wouldn't have been able to achieve what we have without those people. I think the key difference it's making to the health of the borough is it's giving people with autism, their family, their friends, the same opportunities as everybody else. I think prior to our work, there were some perceived limitations on those opportunities. But I think what Autism Friends has achieved is it's giving people genuine confidence, it's reducing anxiety, it's going to create job opportunities for people. So it's just about creating a place where people feel valued and can reach their full potential.
Tanfield House was a brand new, fit-for-purpose property that was built in 2015, specifically for adults with learning disabilities. The exciting thing was that how gorgeous each independent flat is. There's 20 flats in total. Previously in supported living accommodation, we had accommodation that was council houses, pretty much houses that nobody else wanted, and that's the standard of accommodation that people with adults with learning disabilities were living in. So it was really refreshing in November 2015 when the first people moved into Tanfield, and everybody was saying how gorgeous, how spacious, how beautiful these apartments were, and we all said that we'd happily live in Tanfield ourselves.
Living here, beautiful. I help in community room. I come back from church every Sunday. I've got a boyfriend called Ralph. I went to karaoke last night, dancing. I like all the managers.
With 19 independent flats, it's created a community feel in itself, which has been brilliant, and friendships have been formed on their own merit as opposed to being forced together. So we've got so many friendships and so many different groups that have got shared interests, and that's had a massive impact on people's confidence that we've witnessed as staffing at Tanfield.
We have a wishing tree, Tanfield's wishing tree, and it's in the foyer. Again, that came up as an idea in a tenants' meeting. So the tenants all got together, pitched in, made it, sprayed like some old twigs. So if they feel like they want to do something, they can write it on a piece of card, pop it on the tree, staff will pick it off and try and get, you know, that wish to come true. One lady put up, she wanted to go on a world cruise around the world, and we took steps, and that happened last year. She actually went on a Caribbean cruise, and she's quite an older lady, so she was absolutely made up, dinner with the captain, and it was brilliant. Another lady wanted to go and visit Battersea Dogs Home. She has a love of dogs, so she went 2 weeks ago down to London, stayed overnight, visited. So it's just about listening and if we can, make wishes and dreams happen.
There's one gent in particular, before he could move in, we were informed that he's 24/7 requiring support, basically that he needs continuous support at all times for his mental health and his anxieties, lack of confidence, needs a lot of reassurance. It was agreed that this gent could move in, but the provider was still involved and still needed to provide 9-4 support, which we did do. But the success was that this gent actually turned around and said, "We don't want that. I don't want that 9-4 support anymore. I just want staff from here," and reduce that support. And so much so that this gent's confidence is built with his activities, that he's been out shopping independently and formed a really brilliant friendship that now he goes quite a lot of different activities. In fact, I bumped into him at Cartmel races. Just bank holiday Monday gone, it's the first person I bumped into. But that in itself, he was there with his friend. That in itself is a massive achievement compared to what, a year and a half ago that I was being told that this guy is 24/7 support.
Unfortunately, there's always been a stigma around people with special needs, mental health needs, people living with learning disabilities, people with dementia. So we've always felt it is extremely important that people, they are given the right to have inclusive lives, integrated lives in the community. That's the reason why when we choose accommodation, we make sure it is in the middle of communities. Social inclusion is one of the great aims of everything we actually do. It's around people fulfilling their rights as citizens, living inclusively in communities, in the middle of communities, with all the facilities that they are able to access. The other thing as well is communities are very rich in terms of assets. This is definitely the case around Wigan Borough, and people in their journey of recovery, being able to access, the assets around the community, it's a huge help to people. So it is always about social inclusion and moving away from anything that can exclude people, isolate them.
I went into hospital, then I said I have nowhere to go, so they found me this nursing home to go to. So I booked into that one. My social worker found this place. It's been all right ever since.
I was quiet, I didn't know how to take it. Then I got talking to one of the staff, Jackie. He brought me out to Michelle. She's done a lot for me, changed my life around.
Sometimes other types of accommodation, they can be less enabling. So we are always aiming to be able to support people in a less restrictive, more enabling environment.
Well, I like meeting new friends. Because my first couple of months I was quiet. I didn't used to go out. Then somebody came for me and, "You want to come to my flat?" So I said, "Yeah." Then I met another friend, that's David. We were going in his flat as well. It's magic.
Instead of having a management structure, the wellbeing teams are actually self-managing teams. So they take responsibility for a smaller group of people, but they also make their own decisions. It is very innovative in the sense that they are providing care which is very person-centered to a smaller group of people, makes it far more person-centered, but at the same time, it all empowers support workers, to organize their own work, to make their own decisions, and it's very effective, both economically and in terms of the effective way in which we deliver care to very vulnerable people.
I feel more intent with my life, settled, calm. And before, I was on edge all the time, thinking, is someone going to come in when I'm in bed? With you, I feel safe.
It was hard at first because I was on my own a lot. And one of the lads here, Dave, he helped me come out my shell, really. And then I met Gary, and we go fishing all the time, early mornings, 4 o'clock.
Yeah. Go for walks. Somebody comes every Tuesday and Thursday, and we all go out for a walk. Up the canal into Pennington Flash. And we went to, there's a marina up there, walked up to the marina as well. So we go everywhere.
Because the days had been humid, it's dead cool at that time in the morning. So we go 4 o'clock till 8 o'clock till the staff come in, and then I can see them to get me on the medication.
Since moving here, I've started talking to my brother and his girlfriend, and they come visit me, and it's improved a lot. Because next weekend I'm going to my nephew's wedding, so I'm looking forward to that.
But my vision as a whole person care was a community village of inclusion for everyone.
We've been working closely with Wigan Council for about 6 years now across a number of care and support sectors, mainly home care. And we've been doing some supported living work as well. And we got an opportunity because a provider was leaving the area to be able to take over the contract and actually work along with PAM and Compassion in Action and the council to support people within Dover-Mews and other properties across the borough as well.
And on this current site, we've now progressed with preventative mental health with over 812 clients. That is a journey. We do have adults with learning difficulties on site, people in recovery, and united together, everyone is helping each other.
Whilst we've tried to promote independence, a lot of people do live in solitary single tenancies, which was good for celebrating choice and control, but actually is quite a solitary lifestyle. Not many people actually choose to live alone with just paid support. So developments like this, where you've got a number of apartments together, allows you still to have your own front door and your own space, but you've got your neighbours close by who you can socialise with and make that friendship.
The vision for community is a place like this that brings people together. We've united the veterans, the elderly people, lunch clubs. We provide a facility that can unite a people, and everybody comes together. Each week, this village has got plenty of people who are helping each other in various ways. Friendships, fellowship are forming between them, and that's what is achieved on this site.
And we believe passionately that people are better off in their own home with their own front door and an element of privacy and dignity and independence, if you like. Now, people have different needs, and sometimes those needs are quite high, so the support is high. But I think for us as an organisation, I know that's shared with Compassion in Action, we give as much independence as we possibly can, and we know that people live more fulfilled lives if they're able to live within their own home and view it as that.
The site consists of adults with learning difficulties, which is the Dover-Mews site. Above us here today at Patrick House, half of the corridor upstairs is adults with learning difficulties. The other half is a recovery academy. This site is an abstinence service, so we do not provide a detox situation, but we do have people with autism. We have a veteran that ended up homeless when he came home. He's with us. Within that recovery academy, they achieve goals, they achieve skills training with a view to employability.
So this type of accommodation offers a lot more sustainability in that you can have a number of people living together with support needs, but you share the care and support costs across those. And I think in terms of giving people the ability to be more independent. If you've got a 24-hour staff team and you live on your own, you're never away from paid support, whereas here you've always got access to support when you need it, but you can close the door and have your own space and, you know, have that time to yourself when you need that as well. Again, we've had people who lived in their own properties across the borough that have moved in here. And you can just see that they've just developed so much by being in a place where they can do their own thing but have got friends and neighbours that they can call on as and when they need it, whereas where they were living previously may not have actually connected with the neighbours. You know, they've got a much more bigger support network here, not just paid support. And having all the activities on site and having the community centre on your doorstep just widens that community. So, you know, they're meeting other people from the general public and making friendships there as well. So just widening their social networks.
And I haven't seen anything like it, and we've been in this industry quite a while now, at all, certainly within the northwest of England.
A residential home is a small community. In Wigan, we see them very much as community assets. So somebody would have their own space, so their own bedroom, but they'd also be able to access communal space as well. So maybe a dining room or a lounge where they can be with other people. They can spend time with their family and with their friends there. But in terms of it being a community asset, we're very much encouraging our homes to open their doors to the wider community, to have events and things that local people would want to be involved in.
I actually go to meetings that connect all different walks of life via the council and different speakers that come and do a talk, like, and we all swap ideas and information. And from that, I've joined community circles, which is care homes joining together in Leigh. I had two ladies who play dominoes a lot here in the home, and we've been out to a domino rally. And from that, we're trying now to invite other homes here for quiz time, the big quiz. So we're all getting involved together and they're meeting new people. In fact, one of the ladies actually at the domino rally bumped into a neighbour that she hadn't seen for a long, long time. So that was a good conversation to have.
Intergenerational activities can be very special ways of benefiting both ends of the age spectrum.
We like to give new opportunities here at Wigan House and let them live how they were living before as best as they can. Our mission statement for Wigan House is home from home, so that's how we want people to see it. So if families want to come in and have lunch with the relatives, well, yeah, let them. They celebrate we have birthday parties here, so if the family wants to celebrate a special birthday, we put some food on and all the family come.
Appy Little Plums is a day nursery in Westley. We provide opportunities for government-funded children, babies from 0 to 12 years old. We do holiday care and we do after-school club.
Appy Little Plums is our nursery what come in every other week on Wednesdays. The residents absolutely love it. It's the highlight. It's surprising. I was amazed the first time they came because they just went back to being parents themselves and don't put that near the children, and some of them had a cup of tea. You can't come near the children when you've got hot tea, so that parental thing just kicked in. I had one resident moved a chair just to get right amongst them. They absolutely love it, and one resident even was coaxing a little boy to join in, and she said, I bet you can't do that. I bet you can't do that. And she actually got him to do the craft with her. So it was so good.
I really like coming here to see old people and because it's cute and I just like seeing it and it makes my day happy.
Well, seeing their little faces, talking to you. Yeah.
So through our visits to the home, it's had a massive impact on our children and the understanding of the world and people around us. And the residents love the fact that they can have conversations with the children, and the children are making the residents smile, bringing back memories. It's lovely to hear.
I enjoyed singing happy birthday.
They're really excited. They know that they're on a journey here. They put their little vests on, talk about road safety when we come to the home. The residents are waiting for us at the window, so they're really excited to see us. When we get to the door, we're welcomed. It's so lovely, and hearing them sing songs that we've never even heard of, and the children are wondering. They've even come back with different songs, which is nice. They've taken that home and spoken to their families. It's had a great impact on their lives as well.
I just want to look after them and make friends, and I just want them to be happy.
We had the garden built because then everyone can access outside, and we've made it so that they can just walk out when they want. They don't have to wait for a staff member or anything like that, so it gives them some independence back and lets them feel like they're actually in control of their own lives and what they want to do.
They need to live, and that means going out into the community and mixing with other people. Going for a meal. Somebody might be conscious of the way they eat, so they'll go to a quiet corner area, still can go out and have a meal. Go out shopping. Normal everyday things. We have one lady that used to work on the market. So every week she goes and visits the market. And she finds that very interesting because there's a lot of people there still know her. So she's still meeting her old friends and work colleagues. It's lovely.
From the examples you've seen in this chapter, right across the life course, this is Michael Marmot's Fairer Society, Healthy Lives in action, underpinned by our continuing investment through Deal for Communities Investment Fund in solid foundations and powerful communities. In terms of progress with last year's movie, Getting Wigan Borough on the Move, and the recommendations, I'm pleased to report that all recommendations were accepted in full and have been implemented either in full or substantial progress being made. For a fuller update on progress from last year, please see the accompanying document to this movie.
Work with planning and housing colleagues to implement national best practice guidance for healthy housing and planning. Incorporate health improvement into the design of new build social and shared ownership housing and into our supplementary planning guidance for the borough. Support housing and planning colleagues by providing health improvement, health protection, advice and support linked to decent homes standards into the borough housing conditions stocktake. Develop appropriate public health interventions for inclusion into the subsequent asset management programme. Work with environmental services to further develop the health improvement, health protection potential of Deal for Your Street, linked to the development of community resilience champions as part of the borough's emergency planning and civil contingencies response. Establish as part of the borough's local air quality plan a network of community air quality champions, building on our existing Health Champion programme and our Eco Schools programme. Develop with Inspiring Healthy Lifestyles and other key stakeholders a vision and proposals to maximise the green space asset for health and wellbeing of Pennington Flash, linked to the Leigh Town Centre Masterplan. Roll out borough-wide the intergenerational work between early years settings and care homes, as showcased in the movie by Appy Little Plums. Work with the Support for Wigan Arrivals project to maximise the potential contribution in terms of skills and expertise to the wellbeing of the borough of citizens and residents who are newly arrived. Continue to invest in and develop housing support for vulnerable citizens. Every £1 invested delivers £2 through cost and demand reduction to care, health and criminal justice. As part of the further development of the Healthier Wigan Partnership, ensure the embedding of housing advice and practical support within all of the developing clinical pathways based on the excellent work on the new respiratory pathway, with special priority for the implementation of the new mental health strategy, working with the North West Borough and into the life course services for drugs and alcohol, working with Addaction. Work with the BRIC, the new homelessness hubs in Wigan and Leigh, the HOIST team, primary care, Healthy Roots, Addaction and Spectrum to ensure that all citizens who are homeless have equal and appropriate access to health improvement, primary care, including our Healthy Living Dentistry and Pharmacy programmes, sexual health, drugs and alcohol and screening services, and monitor progress through the Population Health Strategy Board. Increase and target the full range of preventative health and wellbeing services to all citizens who live in supported accommodation to maximise their potential to achieve England average health life expectancy. Work with Greater Manchester Fire and Rescue Service, housing colleagues, Pensioners Link, Dementia United and other key partners to reduce the risk of accidents to older people. Wigan is an outlier in the North West for admissions to hospital for falls, so improving the effectiveness of falls and accident prevention programmes is a key priority for the next 12 months. Population Health Strategy Board will be monitoring progress. Work with colleagues in Reablement, Inspiring Healthy Lifestyles and Healthy Roots to maximise the potential of digital and assistive technology for health improvement and reducing social isolation in targeted groups within the population. For example, people with mobility difficulties, sensory impairment and carers. Continue to invest and expand the development of housing with extra care, incorporating health improvement interventions as standard through our Housing for Health programme. Implement borough-wide the pioneering work on active care homes and consider how this can be extended to those in receipt of domiciliary care and in sheltered housing.
I would like to thank all the people who kindly participated in the making of Home is Where the Heart Is. I'd particularly like to thank Liz Fisher, who has acted as editor for this particular movie. Of course, Martin Green of Green Room Creatives for being our fantastic director-producer. And most of all, I'd like to thank the friends, colleagues, fellow citizens of the borough for giving their time, trouble and expertise to help us make this movie come to life. A special thank you too to the Mayor of Greater Manchester for making his fantastic contribution. I know this is a great passion of his and I'm delighted he agreed to participate.